In the Reports tab of Reach, you can see all of the analytics and statistics for a campaign. By default, you're presented with the dashboard view, where you can see general information such as responses per day and overall statistics, as well as links that allow you to see statistics for each individual step in the campaign. So information about the response and opt-in, survey results, sharing results, and generations results as well. If you have more than one campaign, you can use the drop-down to select a different campaign, and you can also export all of this information by clicking on the export button, which I'll show you in a moment. Starting with the dashboard view, we can see a graph here of all of the responses per day. It begins with the start date of the campaign and ends with either the end of the campaign date or today's date, whichever comes first. Hovering over the graph allows you to see the number of responses per any given day. And if you have more than one channel, each of these channels will show up separately as a different color. Below the responses per day graph, we can see an overall view of all of the statistics for the campaign. Starting with total response, which is made up of a combination of responses from the pearls, as well as new responses as a result of sharing, and the number of generations it took. We can click on any one of these numbers, which then drill down providing more information, and we can see that we're now in the response and opt-in menu item. We'll look at this in a moment. We'll go back to the dashboard first. And in here we can also see from the total responses, we then have total opt-ins from those responses, and the total opt-ins is made up of a combination of opt-ins from the pearls, from the response pearls, as well as new opt-ins, and these of course came from the new responses. We can also see the overall total shares. And as I had mentioned, clicking on any one of these numbers takes us to the response opt-in menu item, where we can see specifically who the referrer is, whether it's direct or pearl, social media, email, search engine, or other, and it's broken down into responses and response percentage, as well as opt-ins and opt-in rate. And this information can also easily be seen in this graph provided below. At any point again, we can return to the dashboard, where we can see our overall view. In the survey menu item, we can see the total number of responses to the survey, as well as the number of responses for each question. In this case, there was only one question with multiple answers, and we can see the responses to each of these answers below. In this particular survey, people were allowed to choose as many options as they wanted. In addition to the responses for the survey, you can also see a breakdown of where the sharing has occurred using the sharing menu item. And within here we can see the methods that the sharing was occurring: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and through email, as per the sharing step, with a breakdown of the number of shares of each, as well as the percentage of that share. And this information is all summarized in this graph below. Sharing, of course, occurs over many generations, and this can be seen in the Generations menu item, where we can see the total number of generations that the sharing occurred, as well as the number of opt-ins, the share rate for this generation, the number of shares per social media sites and email, and then how this progresses per generation. We can also see the percentage of sharing in this graph provided below. As mentioned previously, you can also export all of your campaign results by using the export button, which will then provide you with a CSV formatted file.